Papa MooNN, as usual, is with us, and then Haldren is our special guest today. And today we will be talking about rogues, more specifically the Hemorrhage rogue, which is a special build for rogues. Usually, I think there's only one at max in raid, right? So, how are you today, guys?
I'm still a bit sick from last week, but I'm getting better every day, so it's okay.
Okay,
Yeah, I'm fine. Been working in the sun all day, so
okay, cool. Um, Here in Belgium, it's a little bit colder than it was last few days, so that's pretty good actually. So, um,
nice.
Well, Rogue is a class I didn't play myself a lot. I never tend to go to Rogue, so I'm wondering, why do you like Rogue so much? Why do you want to play a Rogue in Classic Law?
Yeah, well, basically, well, I like the sneaky part of it. Being able to assess the opponents and see if can I take this guy, and I always want to be the guy that opens. Sure, that's not always, even though if you're a rogue, and that doesn't happen always, but it's still the sneaky part that I like, and of course being a little bit of a bastard and an asshole.
I see. For some reason, I never really liked the so-called dark classes like Rogue and Warlock. However, lately I'm trying a little bit of Warlock on private servers, and it's quite interesting. But yeah, today we are actually talking about a very specific spec, the Hemorrhage Rogue. Is that something you want to play yourself?
Yeah. Basically, I played it a lot actually in vanilla back in the day, and it's quite underrated. I mean, not for PvP. A lot of PvP, especially now when you know more than you did back then. Uh, but it's also quite underrated in PvE as well, because it brings something to the raid that can benefit the whole raid.
Wow. Someone's saying he cannot hear me. Is that something other people have an issue with? On my end, it shows it should work, but
I can hear you on the stream, so I think it's fine.
okay.
What is Hemorrhage Rogue? Can you explain that just a bit?
Well, Hemorrhage Rogue is well, it's a rogue that doesn't focus as much on the pointy dagger spec, like getting behind and stabbing from the back. Basically, as a hemo rogue, you focus more on bleeds. You focus on well, making harder, whiter hits. One of the specs that I like is a mismatch with the improved slice and dice. So you have a slow weapon, but you hit faster, and then you get more white crits with that gets much larger than your dagger counterpart. So it focused on the maces basically, and swords.
So it's basically about just a more damage build. You basically just go try to get more damage.
Yeah, and I think the flow is actually quite. I did some testing the other day, and the flow is it's not as high when it goes up with like tops. It's more of a constant higher because of the whites. Because if you compare it to like a backstab swing, then you get if you backstab crit, you get a big burst and then you go down again. If you backstab doesn't crit, you just get a little bit. So it's Hemo focus more on keeping a constant stream of damage.
Okay.
Right. So I might have missed something because I was looking to the chat and stuff. But is there place for multiple Hemorrhage rogues in raid?
Well, that can be debated, but I wouldn't. If I would going for like an optimal one, like a really elitist one, then no. Then just bring one, because you only need the hemo buff, because he spams it basically to get the combo points. which leads and it goes off pretty quick because every melee and everyone that uses the buff, which is like most of the raid at least, except for the spellcasters. So it basically, you pop it, you get all the debuffs, it goes down, he pops it again, so you have it constantly on the boss, but it takes a lot of them off, so you don't really need more than one.
Okay, I see. So, for everyone who's doubting or thinking about what we are actually talking about, Hemorrhage is this talent in the subtlety tree. So maybe we should start and go over the build first before we go on.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have the talent calculator in front of me, so maybe you should just tell me what build would you go for the first Molten Core raid? Probably. Well, yeah, I suppose you can play Hemorrhage Stroke in Molten Cores. That's right.
Yeah, you can, and it depends also on what you got as previous weapons and such. And there actually is a spec. I can tell you that this one. You basically start with opportunity in the subtlety.
Okay.
Subtlety tree there, and that's basically because this spec focus early on also switching between the weapons and having a dagger and a slow main hand, so you can switch between the maces and the daggers. And then you just go 4 into camouflage.
Right. 4 or 5?
Yeah, 4.
4.
Yes, and of course you can change this a little bit depending on your play style, but this I guess is one main. Then you take Eliviousness, which is vanish blind abilities, because you're gonna need those 2 points.
So you take 6 points in the second throw, is that right?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Why would you only go 4 out of 5 in the self?
Because you're gonna you're gonna need it, I think. Let's see here. Change this one. No, you're right. You can go 5 as well in the camouflage if you want. And then you have initiative. It basically gives you additional combo point when you use garrote, sheep shot, or ambush. And you need it. I mean, there's no really point. Ghostly Strike is mostly, I would say, it's quite PvP wise. If you meet somebody and you want to dodge, so you don't really need that. An ambush, well, you're not gonna ambush that much. Then you go down to serrated blades.
Okay. Just before we go on, I'm just checking. I was using the wrong microphone, I think. Is the sound better now? It might be very loud or very quiet, but we will see. People will tell me in chat, I guess. So, sorry for the confusion. So we have 2 in elusiveness, then we have 4 out of 5 in camouflage, 3 out of 3 in initiative, and then we had
3 out of 3 in serrated blades.
How can I go there? Because I still need 1 point.
Then you put the last point in camouflage.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
You can basically, if you think some other are better than camouflage, sure, because camouflage is mostly just because the feel of gameplay when you're stealth. It doesn't really improve that much to the raid or anything like that.
Yeah. So if you want to go more like a hybrid PvE PvP build, you will take Ghostly Strikes. That's right. Yeah,
basically Ghostly Strike, because you're gonna use it in the raid. But you're definitely gonna use it when you PvP.
I see. Okay, so then what's the next talent you would take?
After 3 out of 3 in serrated, you take 3 in improved sap.
Okay.
And that should make Hemo available and preparation, 1 in each.
Right, so we have 23 in subtlety.
Yes.
Okay,
Exactly.
so improved sept, it's always been one of my favorite talents because it's like 90% chance instead of 100% chance. How do you feel about that?
Yeah, I actually I did some duels, tested it out, and well, I got out of stealth quite a lot, even though I had that. So I don't know if certain servers are correct in that manner, but it felt like I popped out of stealth much more than I should with 3 out of 3.
I remember it's from the very old days, but I kind of remember because a friend of me was playing a rogue. He had subtlety improved as well, and we did a few of those U-burst runs because I was worried and I wanted that draconian deflector from the last boss, So and oftentimes on like the most important points, the sep would fail and the group would wipe because of that. I always
Yeah.
thought that Blizzard was kind of mean.
Yeah, but that's how it
doing
feels. But,
Yeah.
I mean, because 90% is a lot, but yeah.
So, do you put any more talents in the subtlety tree or?
No.
Okay. And then, what do you do
And
next?
the next one is combat.
All right.
And then you put 3 out of 3 in improved gouge.
Mm-hmm.
And that's, well, it's always nice to have a better gouge, especially if you, maybe not so much for the raids, but especially for, dungeons and such. It's good to have those 1.5 extra seconds.
Mm-hmm.
And then you go 2 in lightning reflexes.
Okay.
And the reason behind that is because, well, you're not gonna do Sinister Strike, so there's no point in taking it all.
Is that because Hemorrhage is taking the place of Sinister
Yeah.
Strike? Okay.
Hemorrhage is cheaper. It's 35 energy, if
Mhm.
I'm not mistaken,
Yes.
and so it is cheaper base cost, and you're not ever using Sinister Strike. You're either using Hemo or you're using like backstab.
Okay, so you will need to go dagger.
Yeah, the thing about that is you can have different weapons for the main hand off
Oh,
and
yeah.
then switch between them depending on what. And if you're just standing behind the boss, well, then you can probably just keep the dagger in the main hand and just spam away. But if you sometimes have to move around and not be able to, then you switch to the stronger white hitting like mace or sword for the main hand, and then you spam Hemo.
Okay, so Hemorrhage is probably the only build in which rogues use 2 different weapons. Is that right?
Yeah, I mean you can use a fast sword in of them, but then you can't use backstab or anything. I would always go with a slow sword or mace in the main hand, and then a dagger in the offhand, and then you switch between them depending on the situation that you need.
That's interesting. All right, so let's go on with the build.
Yeah, and then you put 2 points in improved backstab.
Only 2. Okay.
Yeah, only 2. And the reason behind that is because we can't afford any more points. We need to move on to the assassination tree. So.
Okay. So you don't take the improved hit chance?
No, and that's this build is it takes into account that you get hit from the gear. If you don't have hit from the gear, you might have tweaked this build a little bit depending on your type of gear.
Okay.
Basically.
I'm not very good with rogues and hit gear and stuff, but I thought that rogues are basically very hard to hit cap, so it's always useful to have hits on your gear. Is that right?
I mean, I would say like if you can hit like 8%, I think it is. I think it was 8. That would be, and it also depends. If you're a human, you have extra 2 swords and maces.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're a night elf like me, then you probably need 9. So it depends also on your race, what you kind of need in the gear, and well, it's for most melee classes, it's gonna be like that.
Okay, so but the 7, 8, or 9, whatever it is, percent hit you need, is that to make your main hand hit all the time, or how should I see it? Okay.
The offhand will miss. I don't know if it's like, I think it's 25 or
Yeah, I think it's 25
like
base.
much,
Yes.
so
Yeah.
there's no point in going there.
So it's never good for a rogue to go higher than the percentage you said.
No, I think personally, you know, of course, if the gears come with hit, then of course you're gonna take it because it can't hurt. But if you're sacking a lot of the other things, you might want to rethink a bit.
Okay, so let's go on with the assassination trees. Tree.
Yeah, and here of course you want the crit chance, full 5 of those.
Okay.
And then you want to go for improved visc rate. And it does quite a lot actually. It's 15%, and as a Hemorrhage, it depends on how you play it. If you're standing behind the boss, you do hemos and backstab, and then you need to do the slice and dice and all that. If you're standing on the side or in front, well, then you do hemos and visc rates, and you always try to fill in the gaps. It really depends on the situation, but visc rate is one of the best one.
Okay. Is that like the only rogue again that's using both the visc rate and slice and dice, or do other rogues do the same?
No, I think other dagger spec even if you combat swords, combat daggers, or seal fate spec with daggers, it doesn't really matter. You're gonna do the slice and dice, and then you're gonna fill in with the visc rates. So everybody basically takes.
Right.
And for this current spec here, we go 3 in ruthlessness. And here you can also like max a little bit. Some people like to take the murder one for the flat out damage increase, but it's a lot of the play style and how you think, because as a Hemorrhage you're not gonna be number 1 probably. So you're not going for the top spot there. You're going to max out and help the raid as much as you can.
So you're
and still do pretty okay.
So you're basically support rogue, if that exists.
Yeah, exactly.
Is it important for the Hemorrhage to be in a certain group, or it's raid wide buff, right? It's a debuff on the boss.
It's raid wide.
Yeah, so
it's
it doesn't really matter. Okay. Right. Do you take lethality?
Yes, 5 out of 5.
Yeah, that makes sense. Right. How many
Because
talents
it's
do
gonna
we have
give
left?
the bonus to the hemo and the backstab.
Yeah. Okay, we have 5 talents left, so where do you put them?
And here, same. You're not gonna take like improved poison. You're gonna take 1 in relentless strikes, and my personal favorite is 2 out of 2 in exposed armor, and that's, people can say what they want. It's in a raid, the warrior is gonna do you're not gonna use it, but you're gonna use it in a lot of other situations. So I preferably like to take that, but you can switch it to murder if you want to. If you're more of a raid going person, this is mostly raid, but also a little bit for like dungeons and yourself in the world.
Okay, and then you have 2 points
and then
left.
You have just 1 in wild poison and 1 in cold blood.
1 in the poison and 1 in cold blood. I see.
Yeah.
Oh, I see. That's why you cannot go 3 out of 3 in backstab, because you want cold blood.
Yes.
Yeah.
And 10%. It depends. Cold blood. It's quite good because you get the guaranteed crit. But in a fight, you probably won't use it that much. But you do have preparation,
Mhm.
which means you can use it 2 times. So it all depends, but it's a nice talent to have it, and every Hemorrhage is gonna go with the cold blood.
So someone in chat is asking if poisons are on the spell hit table.
That's a good question, actually. I'm not entirely sure.
Right. So I'm just looking at this build, and I think you have probably 1 point in subtlety which can move to combat to take the 3 out of 3 backstab if you really want to.
Yeah.
But then, yeah, improved sap is probably even more useless with 60%, right? So you should.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a lot. Well, it really, if you think about it, the Hemorrhages, they like you said, they're a support rogue class. They're not going for the top tier, damagers in the top. They're going to help out all the other rogues in the raid, all the warriors, or the hunters, like paladins, everybody that the tanks, everybody that hit the boss, basically.
Yeah, maybe we should go into the Hemorrhage talent a little bit deeper to see what it actually does. So, basically, it's a stackable debuff, right? And each time you stack it, you basically deal more damage to the physical damage that is to the boss. So, like you said, it helps all melee classes, but also hunters. A Hemorrhage, how much? It's probably a hard question, but how much would it improve the damage of the average melee in a raid?
Well, it's a hard question, but I mean, it kind of does improve a lot if you take in consideration all the other melees and hunters, etc. So if you would count that as your own, you would probably top the meters. But of course, you can't do that, because it is a lot. I think it's every point of damage on your weapon. Like, for example, a hunter would take like the fattest scope he can get, because every point, even if it's just 6 points or something, it can do so much for those crits that come. Because a little bit of weapon damage or a scope though will increase the crit and the hits a lot over time. So it will help a lot, basically.
Mm-hmm.
You can see that also even in the private server now era. You can see that people have tested it out, and they always bring one because of the debuff. And combined with, like, say, the Gift of Arthas, then you have even more of those points that benefit the whole raid. So it's definitely worth it to at least bring one. So.
Yeah. Papa MooNN, do you have any questions right now?
No, I'm thinking, is it worth leveling with that spec, or do you actually want to stick with something else, then respec when you hit 60?
I'm not gonna start leveling with that. I'm probably gonna level to like 40 something with the normal, because it goes faster and it's quite easier. And I'm gonna do the combat swords or something like that, just to make the leveling a bit easier. And then at 40, I'm actually gonna switch to like Hemo. Because I like it, and it's not that it's easier at 40. It's probably harder, but at 40 you can start to get a feel for it. So, yeah.
Right. Yeah, you went a little bit into the rotation. So, just when you start a boss fight, how does the Hemorrhage rogue play? Like, what buttons do you smash?
Well, I like to go for a garrote on most bosses.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason behind that is if you go for an ambush or a backstab or something and it crits, which it probably will, you will get aggro instant and you will die.
Okay.
So because it causes a high amount of threat, and I've seen it many times. People go up, the tank has just gotten the boss. The rogue like crits 2.53k with an ambush or a back, and boom, he turns around and kills the rogue. So you start with the garrote because it's slow. It's good damage, but it's slow damage, and then you also pop the Hemo because the Hemo increases the bleed damage for it.
Right, and then you put one hemorrhage on it. How long does it last usually?
Well, it depends on how many melees and hunters you bring to the raid, but from what I can tell, it goes off pretty quick. Actually, it lasts maybe a few seconds, and then you need to pop one again.
So, do you always let the charges go to 0 before you pop a new one?
No. I usually, even if it's a few left, I pop one new on because it's quite cheap in energy, and it's good to have a full uptime. So
okay, but you still have time to use spells or abilities like backstab and certain finishing moves. That's right.
Yeah. You can. So you have to, as a Hemorrhage, you need to keep track of the debuff on the boss. So you can assess when you want to reapply, and if you want to do, can I fit 2 backstabs, or do I need to apply it before? Or do I only do one? You need to control that yourself.
Okay. It might be a very noob question, but does it refresh the cooldown of Cold Blood?
Yes.
Okay, so is that how you use it in a raid scenario?
Well, yeah, that's basically it. But it's such an important combo for out of raid as well that it's too good to give up. But basically, yeah, it resets like the Cold Blood, the sprint, the evasion, the vanish. So it's quite good because it resets all of the major abilities.
So it's really, like I said, I never really played the rogue because I thought it was just damage. But seeing this build, it's more like support rogue, and you have quite a lot of tools to play with. I kind of like this one. Makes me tempted to try it someday, but yeah. It's usually when we talk about the class that I'm getting interested in playing one. I guess you know the feeling, right? Or maybe you don't. Maybe you're just a rogue all the way.
No, I played many. Like my 2 favorites are the warrior and the rogue. Those 2 are my favorites. And then I have played a lot of hunter as well. But hunter is a lazy man's. Relax, and then just let the pets do everything for you.
That's why I like it. But I rather be more lazy and play paladin, right?
So you said you're probably gonna go to like 40, 45-ish before you're gonna respec into Hemorrhage. How much your leveling spec's gonna look?
That spec. Well, I think. Well, there's no point in going too deep and getting Cold Blood. So I in the leveling I might go with the Hemo, the prep, and then maybe I go with the improved gouge, some dodge and hit, because hit makes the leveling quite much easier. And then you go and when you're closer to like 60, you can do a respec, or if you want, but basically just wait to 60 and then you have the full force with the Cold Blood prep Hemo build.
While leveling, would you take remorseless attacks?
Yeah, I would.
Can we try build up the spec from the bottom so we can see how it goes?
Yeah, we can probably go over it fast. Alright. So we start with remorseless attacks for leveling, or what's the most important one?
It's the remorseless, because you use it when you jump from mob to mob. You use it all the time, and it beneficial to you a lot. So,
Mhm.
after that, I would. Are we talking level 40 spec or are we talking level 0 spec?
Talking around level 10 to 40. Then you're gonna respec 40.
Okay, okay. So basically, you start with remorseless attacks, and then I would go with improved sinister strike in combat,
Mhm.
and then I would take improved gouge in combat. And after that, you go full on precision because you're gonna need it.
Yeah, I thought deflection was the way to go. Is that wrong?
Deflection isn't bad, but I rather go with precision because, like, one missed sinister strike can be the difference between you staying alive and you dying, and you're gonna miss a lot, so you probably need it.
The thing is, deflection does give a haste buff, right? If you get parried. Well, no, if you parry, you get a haste buff, stealth haste buff. It's not in the tooltip anywhere, and you can also get riposte, which I think is pretty good for leveling.
Yeah, it is. Don't get me wrong, it is really good, but this is the way I like to play it. So.
All right. So okay, so we have 5/5 in precision. What's next?
Yeah. Next, you go with the malice in the assassination tree.
Mm-hmm.
And then you go. Well, this is a matter of taste. You can go deflection if you want, or you can just fix your endurance, which is quite good. I mean, the thing is, you use evasion and sprint a lot when you level. You use it on elite mobs. You use it to get to places faster, etc. So I like to take it, but then again, it's all a matter of taste. If you really want to go for like the optimal spec, then probably you should take deflection and then riposte, so you have it. However, I like to go endurance, and then I like to go with the improved sprint as well.
Okay. So I took your build with endurance and improved sprint. Did you pick 3 out of 5 in malice or 5 out of 5?
5 out of 5.
Okay. So we are now at level 30.
Yeah. And now you can start to get a feel for it, but I usually go with the 1 in deflection, and then it's it depends. Do you have good daggers? You can go the dagger. If you don't, and you use a green, like, good sword, you can always go with a dual specialization.
Mm-hmm.
And then you just, well, when you're 36, when you put 5 out of 5 in dual specialization, you of course take the blade flurry, because that's a really nice one. And then, well, I don't think that swords, 1% here, 5% there, doesn't give that much. I switch over off the blade flurry to eviscerate, improved eviscerate, to take 3 out of 3.
Now we are level 40.
And now we're level 40, so now we can, start to maybe go into the Hemo or something. But it really is a matter of taste, because there isn't. Of course, there are ways to, like, you shouldn't do like this. You should level this like optimal combat sword spec, which will increase your leveling speed. But in my world, you gotta have fun. You gotta have fun with world PvP. You gotta have fun with the elite mobs. You gotta, overall have fun in the game. Mm-hmm. And the way to do that is not to just do what everybody else tells you to do.
I totally agree. Totally agree.
Yeah, like do your own thing, like play the game the way that it feels best to you.
Yeah. Yeah. Right. So I think we went deep enough into the specialization. I wonder, in a raid scenario, you said it's not that high of a DPS as the other rogues are.
No.
Where would you rank the DPS of the Hemorrhage rogue? Is it above Hunters, above Warlocks, or where should I see it?
Yeah, I think maybe it should be around. It depends on the gear, of course, but I mean around the hunters maybe a bit less probably.
And
it depends on the gear.
yeah.
I mean, if you have a really good like dagger or main hand, it can increase, but I think they should be around the middle there somewhere.
Okay, do they scale well with gear? I mean, are they still in the middle of the pack in Nax, or are they really low by then?
I didn't do that much of Nax, so I'm not sure exactly how much they scale. But I know for a fact that if you get your hands on certain weapons from Nax, you do a lot of damage. But I would say that it's probably the dagger or the swords that gets the upper hand. They still do one Hemorrhage though in raids because you need the buff, but the other guys kind of move ahead a bit.
It's probably a tricky question since you play a rogue or want to play a rogue yourself, but do you feel like the other rogues should have prio in weapons over the Hemorrhage when it drops?
It depends. I mean, if you're gonna use it more, then yes. Yeah, it also depends on what you call with your main hand, offhand, because the main hand weapon that you use the most is gonna be the most important one for a Hemorrhage, while the offhand not as much. So, for example, if you let's say sword drop or a mace drop, that is very good for Hemo, then it should be equal. But if you have like a dagger rogue and a good dagger drops, then yeah, the dagger should probably go to the dagger rogue. So
yeah, makes sense. I want to go into two more topics about the rogue or the Hemorrhage. We should probably start first with the raid gear. So if you could go over the best in slot gear for the Hemorrhage, is it specifically different for a Hemorrhage than it is for any other rogue, or is it mostly the same?
No, it's mostly the same. I mean, for rings, you would go with a Moradon ring, like Blackstone ring, which everybody goes for.
Okay, I have a list here. I think something you linked before the talk started.
Yeah.
So, you started with the rings. Yeah. Okay. So, which ring did you say?
The Blackstone ring is, it's the easiest one to get. So you probably start with getting that one, and it will hold up for a good while. So.
Okay, I see. So the guide you linked, is that 1.12 or is this how it should be on Classic WoW?
The thing is, you can also mix match a little bit as long as you keep your hit. Basically, you're gonna hunt for hit. That's the main reason in the beginning. And if it's before Moradon, maybe it's a bit harder. When Moradon hit, or not Moradon, called the one in Feralas, the dungeon.
Dire Maul.
Dire Maul, yeah. If it's before Dire Maul, then it's gonna be a little bit harder. But when Dire Maul hits, there is so much good stuff in there for a Hemorrhage. For example, you get the 11 ring, Tarnished Reveling, which is good. You also get a good offhand previous dagger from the Prince, I think it is, with some +6 daggers, which is quite good in the offhand.
Mm-hmm. What are the main stats you are going for as a Hemorrhage rogue? What is the main difference in stats you are searching for from other rogues?
Well, if you go another kind of spec, if you go deeper Hemorrhage, you go for attack power. But if the rogue gets its attack power from the same, which is agility. So you go for agility and straight up items that give you AP.
Mm-hmm.
So like the Haldren sets, really good, but then you can't backstab, so you have to rely on your Hemo only and your Eviscerate. So, but yeah, it's mostly agility actually, agility and attack power that you need.
So the Haldren set is that drops in sulfurite. Or
yeah.
Up, is it? Oh,
Yeah.
I thought it was sulfurite. That's totally wrong. Right. So it gives a bonus of 50 attack power, as you can see right now. I think on the stream. Yeah. Now the offhand, that's quite a weird one. So it has armor and defense on it. That's quite useless, right?
Yeah, it is, but the 50 attack power is just too good to give up.
Okay, so it's basically just an offhand with 50 attack power on it.
Yeah, exactly.
So, yeah, that's pretty good. Now I think
that's
about
really
it.
crazy.
Yeah.
I mean, it all depends. Like, do you like the Hemo dagger combination? Do you want to stand on the back, do Hemo from time to time, and then backstab? Then you need a dagger to switch in your bag. So you need a macro, and you're not gonna get that, 50 plus if you don't use the set combo swords, for example. But if you're more of a Hemo guy with the Eviscerates and the slice and dice, and you don't want to deal with backstab, then yeah, those are really, really good. And they're really good for dungeons, world, PvP overall. I mean, they're good overall. So
Okay. I feel like, except if Papa MooNN is a question, I feel like it's probably not as interesting to go over the whole list of items, right?
no.
I have a question.
Yeah.
And I have something. Those two swords you mentioned there before, everybody's gonna want them, like Fury Warriors. I also know the tanks once the main hand, because it's really good. So they're gonna be sought after. So it might be hard to get those two swords.
Yeah, I know. I mean, those two are basically, like you said, for Fury and the offensive tank. So you're not alone, but if you can get them, they're quite good. With the set bonus, of course.
Right.
But there are other options. I mean, there's a lot on the market for a Hemorrhage, because you can use, any kind of mace that has a high max damage, and any kind of sword. I wish rogues would use axes. That would be awesome, but they don't.
So it's basically the only rogue using maces, right?
How if you look at the Hammer rogue, is it something you recommend doing in PvP, or would you actually go another spec?
Yeah. I mean, Hemorrhages shine quite good in PvP, because of preparation. Basically, you can, if you just wanna total nuke somebody, you can go in, get a 5-point, do the cold blood eviscerate, vanish, reset everything, and do it, repeat, and he will be dead.
Okay.
So if you really want to kill somebody, you can.
So Hemorrhage is actually used in PvP as well. The debuff.
Yeah, I mean, if I were to, let's say I meet a warrior or a druid or somebody that uses armor as a defense and a lot of HP, you would use Hemo and you would bleed them down, basically.
Mm-hmm. And I could actually see that Hemorrhage was could be good in Active Valley on the boss, last boss. if you could just keep the stack up, everybody's gonna do so much more damage.
Yeah, and that debuff gonna disappear as fast as you can apply it because there's
Yeah.
like 40 guys beating. So, but it's gonna be real good. Everybody uses it, and the boss will go down quicker.
Okay. Do you have any plans yourself, specifically PvP as a rogue?
Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna hang out in STV a lot, especially when I level, and be that guy that everybody hates. I hope to be that guy.
That's the main goal of every rogue, I think.
Yeah, and you know, just make the guild name proud. So they gonna spam the world chat like, I hate these guys.
That's awesome.
No, but I mean, and then of course I'm gonna do some PvP, but I'm not going for, you know, higher ranks
Okay,
or
so
anything like that.
mainly just some world PvP ganking stuff, like something like that.
Yeah, and you know, that's one of the best part as a rogue, to be a part of that and just ambush somebody in a Yeti cave. I mean, it's really nice.
So we were actually checking out some videos before the stream, and one of the most known videos about rogues is the World of Roguecraft. Did you watch any of that?
Yeah, I did back in the day. So
Okay, did that influence your choice for playing a rogue?
not really. No, I'm always drawn to. Like I said, I played the warrior and the rogue because I think they're quite similar, except the rogue is stealth and needs to pick their battles more. As a warrior is more of this, you know, furious berserker with weapons wielding above its head and screaming. So
Yeah.
but they work kind of similar.
But what he shows in the world of Roguecraft, he can have no gear on, have the one dagger that does 0 damage, and he can still kill some of the best geared players in the world.
Yeah, and the reason behind that is, like I said, he probably used like preparation combined with cold blood and eviscerated. So he gathers the combo points, and eviscerate will do the damage. Even if you have 0 gear, it will do the max damage at the max rank, as it says. And with cold blood, you get the 100% crit. So you do a 5-point cold blood eviscerate, and then you vanish, and then you prep, and then you do a 5-point cold blood, you know, again, and he will take 5k damage no matter what.
Oh shit! Okay.
So
Actually, I'm thinking, how do you want to farm on a rogue? How do you collect the starting money for your mount, and how are you gonna do afterwards for grinding money as a rogue?
there are a lot of like popular things like pickpocketing in Blackrock Depths, etc. But you can also farm in Uldum, I think, and you can basically you know, get a lot of gold by killing certain bosses in there. And if you have leatherworking as well, or skinning it is, you will boost that a bit more.
I
So
heard
you're
that.
basically just stealthing around, killing every boss.
Yeah, exactly. Stealthing around and then vendoring a lot of the items will be vendoring, and sometimes you will be lucky and get some nice, because Uldum is the first instance, I think, where you start getting like BOE epics and stuff that drops. So you can be very lucky, but you shouldn't go for that. You just, you know, kill certain bosses, vendor most of the useless items, and then and skin some of the beasts which you killed.
Yeah, so that's the 60 strength. What are you gonna do while leveling? How are you gonna do that? How are you gonna collect that gold for your epic mount?
Yeah, I'm like I said, skinning will help. I'm probably going with skinning and herbing, and then I'm switching off skinning later. And also, you only need to pick certain like skills that you need when you're leveling. Like there are some skills that you basically you don't need more than you might not even need the rank 1. Some you might just take rank 1 because like all the poisons, for example, you do the first one for the slowing poison, and then you only do for instant because you're not gonna use the other one maybe later when you're level 60 or something. But so you save a lot that way.
Yeah, you're saving a bit on the skills, but that's not enough to get you to the mountain. There's like no special rope craft, anything you can do. It's just basically like some of the all classes, just grab skidding, sell all this shit, and hopefully you can.
Yeah, I mean, there's, you can sell yourself opening boxes and stuff like that, but I don't think that's a viable idea. Basically.
Can I hop in here? I think DevCamp told me that it's actually viable to pickpocket entire dungeons at level 60 and get a lot of gold out of there. But
yeah, but at 60, I'm thinking like why you're leveling, so you have your money for the mount when you hit 60 or close to.
You can probably do that before you hit 60.
Yeah, I mean, I think I will be able to just by taking certain skills and shitting in those I don't need. So, and then of course sell a lot of stuff I find and skin the beast. And if, for example, I will take herbing and I will save most of the herbs. But if I find, certain herbs that are valued much more, you can probably sell them because you're not gonna need them at that point in time.
Okay. So, any more questions, Papa?
Nope.
Okay, I think we are probably done then with this overview of the Hemorrhage rogue. So, if you have any last words to give us, Haldren, it's time to do that now.
Yeah, I mean, as a rogue, I would want to see other rogues as well. Camping in STV, of course, but also doing, Devil Sword, giving people that try to take the Devil Sword for themselves a hard time and try to sneak them. That's the feeling of taking somebody else Devil Sword leather is quite good. I can, attest to that.
That's something.
And you have all the skills. As a Hemorrhage, you have the sap, and not to stay out of, be visible because you have the talent. And you have low cooldown on Vanish Blind. And if that doesn't work, if they trinket out of blind or something, you can just prep and blind them again and then start stealing their shit.
That sounds awesome. I hope you will be the guy on our server stealing.
Yeah, I hope that too.
Yeah.
So
are we gonna see you to be the leader of the new Ooga gang on our server?
Well, I don't have like two brothers that are Ooga Booga. But, you never know. We might find some other rogues that like to ambush people and be assholes. So.
Okay, any last words for you, Papa MooNN?
No, I just want to give a shout out to the guild and welcome Claw back, as you did a good attempt with Equator, finding our class leader for Priest.
Yeah,
gone for 2 months.
awesome.
That's a good job.
I'm glad he's back. So I think we are very lucky with having Haldren as a class leader for rogues in the guild. So yeah, if anyone still wants to join the guild, just join the Discord. It's all in the description. And I think we are done then for today. I have an outro music. I'm going to try it, so we'll see what it does. And we'll see you next time, I guess. Bye.
See you guys.